Hey y'all, Lisa Davis back again with Black and Bankable. Lisa Davis, trusted banker. Black and Bankable to talk about HUD and cryptocurrency and blockchain and where are we going? Where are we going with all these government programs? It just seems like this government doesn't understand that the government programs are for people that need the government programs. But anyways, let's get into it. So recently it was announced that HUD evaluates blockchain and stablecoin use for grant management. Okay. So the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development is assessing the potential application of blockchain technology and stablecoins to optimize its financial operations. A recent internal meeting focused on the feasibility of leveraging blockchain for tracking grant disbursements, while officials also deliberated on a pilot initiative that would facilitate payments to HUD grantees through stablecoin. One of my contracts is through HUD, and it's all good. I'm good. We're still funded. When I say a mess, when I say the technology that they already use is so antiquated and limiting that there's not a lot of it's not very robust, there's not a lot of usage in it, and it's still a laborious practice to work within government contracts based on the technology that they have. And I understand wanting to find a different way to maximize how they distribute the grants, or optimize how they distribute the grants, track the grants, and ensure that the grant funds are being used the right way. Blockchain technology to me just seems a little bit futuristic, possibly because we're working with government entities. Their technology is just never like on par or updated or that new. So we'll see. The proposal is particularly relevant to the Community Planning and Development Office, which oversees substantial funding allocations for affordable housing projects. By integrating blockchain technology, HUD aims to enhance the accuracy and efficiency of financial tracking. Despite these potential advantages, the initiative has encountered resistance from certain department members who remain cautious about adopting the technology. There's a lot of risks involved because the cryptocurrency or the blockchain technology industry, blockchain encryption and blockchain is not really new, not the financial industries, but blockchain entities, the blockchain industry is still a very new industry, and there's no regulation around it. There's no regulation around it. There's no governance around it. There's no governance. I don't know. So, concerns have been raised about the possible risks and instability that stablecoins could introduce. Let me just say, when this administration announced the possibility of delving into blockchain technology to help with the Housing and Urban Development Department, crypto fell $5,000 more. Bitcoin was at $106,000 when Trump got into office. It's at $83,000 now. So that's over a 20% decrease, and $29,000 lost just since he's been in office. Skeptics argue that fluctuations in stablecoin values might create challenges in ensuring consistent payments, which is important. I can't even get into the detail of why it's so important. But when funding was froze when he first got into office, it impacts landlords, it impacts tenants, it impacts residents, it impacts employees and government workers, but it impacts all the service providers, all the facility operations, the the real estate management. Like, it impacts so many different things. Not on top of that, it also impacts city, county, and state government with the grants that go out for repairs for properties and affordable housing development. It's just a lot. So a HUD representative clarified that no immediate implementation plans have been set, with discussions currently centered on understanding the potential implications of the technology. Officials emphasized that the conversations remain at the exploratory stage without any official adoption in place. That's cool, but this administration worries me, right? They just do. Government-wide interest in blockchain applications. We need to follow the money. We need to understand that. Oh, here I was about to say it. Okay, so HUD's discussions align with broader federal considerations, regarding blockchain technology. The Trump administration has demonstrated interest in digital assets, recognizing their potential to reduce operational costs. I don't know about that because they're not looking at the gas fees, right? They're not looking at the cost to operate blockchain technology. Additionally, support for cryptocurrencies has been expressed by government leaders, with some advocating for decentralized auditing systems to enhance financial oversight. We already have third-party auditing systems that come in to audit the systems. Anyways, this is what I don't agree with. I saw this here and I deleted Twitter, and I cannot believe that the director or the secretary of HUD is making his reports on Twitter or at HUD Dodge Task Force. So the Department of Housing and Urban Development, right, has created their own internal Dodge Task Force. And their Dodge, so a lot of the different administration or the different agencies are going to create their own internal Dodge Task Force, meaning that Environmental Protection Agency, Department of Education, Department of Housing, Department of Transportation, they're all supposed to implement or implement their own Dodge Task Force within those departments. So, and then he makes all his reports on Twitter. So this is his report where he says the Department of Government Efficiency went in. He made this report March 8th. That HUD completed the audit. Initial findings on paid software licenses. ServiceNow licenses. They have 35,855 ServiceNow licenses on 3 products. Only 84 licenses are being used. There's 11,020 Acrobat licenses with 0 users. There's 1,776 Cognos licenses with only 325 users. 800 Westlaw Classic licenses with only 216 users. 10,000 Java licenses. The thing with this is, first of all, when he goes in and he looks at things real quick without understanding things, they've let go tens of thousands of government employees. Everybody doesn't have a clear expectation of what their job is. Many people are being told not to do their work, or the departments are downsized. So if you get rid of people that depend on people to do their jobs, people can't do their jobs. You can't tell me that nobody uses Acrobat in there when the only way with one of their systems that they use for marketing and rent management, they only can use PDFs for communication. So just because nobody was using it when you looked at it, I know for a fact the department that I work with that is funded by HUD uses PDFs all the time because they can't use pictures. And in order to do documents, in order to do marketing, in order for policy change or memos or updates, they create PDFs. So I feel like his reporting has errors. I believe the Department of Government Efficiency is not that efficient, and it has errors, and we need to see statistical data analysis of his errors and omissions report. Like, we need to see his errors and omissions report to ensure that the data reports that he give us are, copacetic. I don't know what other word to use right now. So regulatory shifts have also influenced the evolving stance on blockchain adoption. Okay, my biggest concern with this is that how do we have HUD looking at using blockchain technology? Why are they first when they're in charge? When we have a homelessness problem, where we need more affordable housing, where we have landlords that need upgrades to their buildings and their units, where we have so much other work to do, why are we looking at this? Why are we looking at this? So this is where I first saw it. U.S. Housing Agency considers launching a crypto experiment. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, which oversees billions in aid and ensures more than $1 trillion in mortgages, is pondering using the blockchain and stablecoin. One HUD official derided it as monopoly money, right? So then I was curious, and I said, well, let me go back and look and see, because I didn't remember seeing blockchain technology when I was reviewing Project 2025. So you guys know I stay in Project 2025. So, and this is what they wrote in Project 2025 for HUD. This is their reforms that they're going to do. And it's interesting to me because this was written by Ben Carson. He was the former director of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and he was awful. When he was over HUD, it was awful. It was ridiculous. It didn't make sense, the things that he did, and it was awful. So anyways, this was, I guess, written by him. And he says on day one, this is the strategy, right? A HUD political leader should immediately assign all delegated powers to politically appointed PDAs and DASs and other official leadership positions. The president should issue an executive order making the HUD secretary a member of the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S., which will gain broader oversight authorities to address foreign threats, particularly from China, around the ownership of real estate in both rental and ownership of single family housing and multifamily housing in the country. The secretary should initiate a HUD task force. The office of the secretary or the leadership of the office and general counsel should conduct a thorough review of all sub-regulatory guidance that has been instituted outside of the Administrative Procedure Act. Immediately in the Biden administrative property appraisal policy, that a property appraisal and valuation equity policy. This takes me back to subprime lending when we didn't have any regulation on appraisal. And we all know, if you're following me, we know that Trump loves to falsely appreciate properties in order to build up equity, in order to take down, to transfer the equity value out in order to make other purchases or whatever. If they buy a house for $100,000, he'll say next year it's worth $300,000. So it's falsely appreciating property to give it value in order to get equity out of the property to do other deals. He wants to repeal climate change initiatives and spending in the department's budget. He wants to repeal the affirmatively furthering fair housing regulation. This is so crazy. He did this the last time he was in office. So Obama put this in place. Trump took it out the last time he was in office. Biden put it back when he got in office. Now Trump's taking it back out now that he's back in office. But what it doesn't change is the fair housing law. So this was just affirmatively furthering fair housing with guidance and governance, corrective action, policy around the work. But it doesn't change the fact that fair housing is still a law. So there's still things that have to be upheld about that. And then eliminating the new housing supply fund. So the secretary should recommence proposed regulation put forward under the Trump administration to prohibit non-citizens, including all mixed status families, from living in federally assisted housing. HUD's obligation is to provide housing for American citizens who are in need. HUD reforms must also ensure alignment with reforms implemented by other federal agencies where immigration status impacts public programs. Local welfare organizations, not federal government, should step up to provide welfare for the housing of non-citizens. The Office of the Secretary should execute regulatory and sub-regulatory guidance action across HUD programs and applicable to all relevant stakeholders that will restrict program eligibility when admission would threaten the protection of the life and health of individuals and fail to encourage upward mobility and economic advancement through household self-sufficiency. Where admissible in regulatory action, HUD should implement reforms reducing the implicit anti-marriage bias in housing assistance programs. I wish strengthen work and work readiness requirements, implement maximum term limits for residents. We don't really we have that a little bit, but not really. And end housing first policies so that the department prioritize mental health and substance abuse issues before jumping to permanent interventions in homelessness. Notwithstanding administrative reforms, Congress should enact legislation that protects life and eliminates provisions in federal housing and welfare benefits policies that discourage work, that discourage marriage, that discourage meaningful paths to upward economic mobility. The Office of Policy Development and Research should suspend all external research and evaluation grants in the Office of Policy Development and Research and end or realign to another office any functions that are not involved in the collection and use of data and survey administration functions and do not facilitate the execution of regulatory impact analysis. FHA leadership should increase mortgage insurance. We talked about this in another video. Go see it. I did the calculation on how this would basically make housing unaffordable for low income and people on fixed income by increasing mortgage insurance, by increasing the down payment, and by increasing and decreasing the term, by encouraging the decrease of the term so people could pay their house off faster. That pretty much means that people won't be able to buy a house that don't have a lot of money. But I did a whole video on that, so you can go watch it with the calculations. Congress should also consider those areas in which federal policy negatively interacts with private markets, including when federal policy crowds out private sector development and exacerbates affordability challenges that persist across the nation. So we have to follow the money in these things. This is opening it up for full price, market rate price developments to come in. They're saying, so HUD could sell land. It doesn't necessarily need to be all affordable. Policy can be changed, allow the state. I got to get to it. I read through it. It said, in the same manner, Congress should prioritize any and all legislative support for the single family home. Home ownership forms the backbone of the American dream. The purchase of a home is the largest investment most Americans will make in their lifetime, and home ownership remains the most accessible way to build generational wealth for millions of Americans. And for these reasons, American homeowners and citizens know best what is the interest of their neighborhoods and communities. Right there, right? So the affirmatively furthering fair housing, when Trump was in office before, we had problems with people making stipulations, homeowners associations saying, you cannot rent a house in our neighborhood if you have a roommate. You have to be married. Those kind of things. So this right here is saying that they want to, the local communities know best what's for their neighborhoods. Localities, rather than the federal government, must have final say in the zoning laws and regulation, and a conservative administration should oppose any efforts to weaken single-family zoning. Along the same lines, Congress can propose tax credits for the renovation or repair of housing stock in rural areas so that more Americans are able to access the American dream of homeownership. Why are they going to get tax credits to fix up their house in rural areas, but you're not giving tax credits to everybody? I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing. You're pandering to your base. Not understanding that for tax credits, they're probably not even going to be able to qualify for it. And then that's a whole different problem because of the way we use tax credits now for development and not single family development. So that's interesting. Additionally, statutory authorities for local autonomy should extend to the prioritizing of federal rental assistance subsidies that emphasize choice and mobility in housing voucher subsidies over static site-based subsidies, and provide authority for maximal flexibility to the public housing authority land sales that involve the existing stock of public housing units. I'm just concerned about this. Congress must consider the future of public housing model. At best, any new public investments will provide maintenance funds to bring substandard housing units and properties up to livable standards, but will still fail to address larger aims of upward mobility and dynamism for local housing markets where land can be sold by public housing authorities and put to greater economic use. How? Who? First, how? Who? What greater economic use? Thereby benefiting entire local economies through greater private investment, productivity, and employment opportunities, and increased tax revenues. It never really works like that, right? So if you're making it so that it's going to be difficult, you want to move people in and out and up through public housing. And I get that, because some people will sit on public housing forever. I get that. We don't know why. They may have mental health issues, they may have mobility issues. Again, they may be seniors, right? So yeah, some people do stay on there for generations. But to encourage the states in those areas to be over the zoning of the areas where there's public housing, and then talk about that public housing authorities could possibly sell properties for greater private investment and productivity and employment is a little concerning when we have 770,000 people homeless. We've got a homelessness problem. And you're not talking about educating people. You're not talking about giving them down payment assistance. You're not talking about a fund that's going to get, you're eliminating the fund. You're not talking about giving them monetary support or bringing housing prices down. You're talking about moving them in, up, and out. And then you're also saying, let's not take the homeless people and stabilize them by putting them in housing. You're saying, let's do some initial assessments to see if there's a mental health or drug or mobility problem. Housing not first. Housing first has always been a great thing to stabilize a family, to stabilize somebody in need, to stabilize somebody in trauma, like when they're going through a cycle. I can't think of the word right now. So anyways, down here he says, the whole thing is gaslighting to me. However, here it says, any long-term view of HUD's future must include maintenance, the strong financial operations, reliable reporting that are needed to run a $50 billion per year agency. Before the Trump administration, HUD effectively did not have a chief financial officer for 8 years. That baffles me. That baffles me because right here, the Department of Housing, this is the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Vinay Singh sworn in as HUD Chief Financial Officer. So how do they, this is what I mean. In Project 2025, there's a lot of gaslighting, which is why I don't, well, it's not an official document, but if you read through it, there's so many contradictions, fallacies, lies, right? They're saying they need to hire a private person to be their chief financial officer for HUD today, because for the last 8 years, there hasn't been a chief financial officer. But HUD hired somebody July 5th, 2022, was issued the oath of office to chief financial officer during the ceremony at HUD's headquarters. CFO Singh was confirmed by the Senate on June 22nd, 2022. So I'm not going to spend my life doing fact checks. Hey, Sylvia, how you doing? Doing fact checks and pointing out all the lies in Project 2025, because it is a 900-page document. But the gaslighting in Project 2025 is crazy. It is just crazy. So I just wanted to get on here to let you guys know that the Department of Housing and Urban Development is thinking about cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and we all know why. We all know why. Because the Trump administration person that is in office now is being tutored by Elon Musk, and he has now a digital currency. He now has a digital currency as well as does Elon Musk, right? So the proposal at HUD indicates a new way that the administration may seek to bolster the industry by incorporating blockchain, possibly cryptocurrency, into the routine spending and accounting practices of federal agencies. It's a move that would align with the apparent desire of Trump advisor Elon Musk to use blockchain to monitor federal spending. And now Trump has the Trump coin. So these kind of things are interesting to them because it's going to give value to that industry, cryptocurrency, which will then give value to their tokens, which are not necessarily currency, but meme coins have found value in some places. So they could be used for that as well. So this is all a money grab. I'm going to keep saying that. I'm going to keep watching things. I keep watching things. The things that I do watch are housing, small business, job creation, financial industries, and things like that. I'm a former regulatory compliance officer. So please like, share, and subscribe. please try to get the word out. I'm going to keep looking over all the regulatory things as far as from the housing Department of Housing and Urban Development, the House Finance Committees, Small Business Administration, anything that deals with money or affecting your money or how your money is going to be spent or used or whatever. So I want to see where those savings are going to go. Are they going to send them to the Treasury that Elon claims he found? So we're going to be tracking that. If you just Google Project 2025 Guide, it comes right up, Chi-Town RN2. If you just Google it. I don't know that I tried to add links into YouTube before, and it seemed like it wouldn't let me. So it's a simple Google. So, yeah. So I don't know if that comes up, but yep. It's a simple Google search. It comes right up. Not hard to find. So, all right, y'all. This is the last one for the day today, I think. I'm about to go on TikTok and go live. So I will talk to y'all later. Lisa Davis, the Trusted Banker. See y'all later. Bye.